On behalf of all teenagers, the boys represented this particular age group to be strong, independent people, remembering that both Walter and Arthur are very vulnerable young people. They have disabilities that should prevent them from even walking in the woods, but they still do it because they're strong. So I guess as writers, we confronted and argued how the usual stereotypical teenager should be. We perhaps made the characters to be more mature than actual teenagers really are. Therefore, I would perhaps say we aren't copying the boys to have normal teenage personalities. Instead, we're arguing against this and stating them to have a lot of common sense and to be good role models. In terms of gender, we portrayed a whole male cast in Brother Bond, and like I said already, both of the boys create the strong usual male roles to not be afraid of the journey that they've set themselves on and to just get on with it. I feel we have achieved to match a stereotypical teenage boy as well, especially male, this being a hero type character that is also successful. Arthur is a character who I think clearly illustrates a teenage boy. He takes risks and likes an adventure. When he untied the piece of cloth, he immediately walked away from his older brother, who of course, him being deaf and his older brother being blind, is him wanting to completely disregard the ability to hear, and his brother was always the ears for him and he was the eyes. This is a classic representation of a younger brother wishing to disregard his older brother and do it his way. As well as this, it's also another representation of a teenage boy, which my point was about originally, someone who is wild and seeks to adventure. This is all captured when he leaves his brother and leaves things into his own hands. However, I also feel perhaps we completely disregard the stereotypical male role. I think this because both Walter and Arthur react like wimps when they hear the stick break in the background. This causes a reaction for them to just run, and in my point of view, this portrays them to be quite scared and freaked out, nothing that comes under a stereotypical man, almost as if they can't even defend themselves. In addition to this, Walter trips up when they start to run away, and another quality for a stereotypical man is to be sporty. This doesn't apply to anything that's near a so-called normal man, so I believe as well as confronting the usual man, we're also completely discarding its attributes. Another attribute that's completely disconnected for being this typical man is the fact that the young boy at the end of the opening decides to just freeze when he sees Arthur in the woods. This shows him to be frightened to see him at this late hour and to not be brave, to either handle the situation himself or obviously tell his father next to him who's armed with a gun. This decision that he froze completely was backed up that he's a young boy and wouldn't know what to do at all. Although you must remember that both brothers are disabled, so this also adds a completely new social group into this fort which must not be disinclined. To clear up what I mean here, Walter must have tripped to the fact that he's blind and can't see anything. But yet again, he's tied to his brother Arthur at this point, and this isn't a hard task to simply copy his movement even if you have lost your sight. If we're talking about the social class of disabled people, both Arthur and Walter fall under this class, but they're definitely confronting the usual disabled person, whether this will be male or female. The comment that I made on Walter about the fact that he did trip up does apply him to be a non-sporty person, but both of the boys have the determination to run and to try and comprehend with a normal person in a normal society. They're trying to behave like normal people, rather than a disabled person who isn't what they want to be associated as. Nobody would want that. They've acted so calm in the situation that they're in, and you feel too that a normal disabled person is incapable to achieve what they've done so far. This being when they found a safe haven. It was a huge gain for them, and they had something on their side for once, or even when Arthur takes himself out of the woods and a few miles away from his brother to a whole complete new location, a boy who is deaf too, who can't hear anything around his surroundings. This is a big ask for all of them. I feel like what they've achieved so far completely exceeds what we thought they were required to do as characters. They're both brave and strong and don't rely on a non-disabled person for support, even if they did have the option to. Therefore, we argue against the disabled class and how they should be. The other characters that we haven't spoken much about is the young farmer boy and his dad that we saw right at the end of the opening. Their clothing meets a normal standard man. They're implying that they are hard-working people. When you look at them, we see farmer gear and the usual farmer clothing. The long buttoned-up coats, the farmer hats and tall welly boots portrays them to be typical working people. This registers as a normal man who got the normal working job and shows to be fearful, shown by the older man holding a gun.